Buying a Sprinter or Crafter might be the best thing you ever do, but if you get it wrong at the buying stage, that dream can quickly turn into a nightmare. If you're lucky enough to commission a brand new build, you get to pick every detail. But even if you're buying a pre-loved camper, making sure it's the right one for you is probably the most important decision you'll make. Let me help you navigate the endless choices from Wheelbase to Layout, so you end up living the van life you've always dreamed of. The first thing to think about here is, do you want automatic or manual? I've driven more vehicles than I care to remember over my life so far, so I've done plenty of testing, and I'm a big fan of automatics, especially when it comes to campers, as most of us are looking for ease and calm. You're driving long distances, often in traffic, and let's be honest, we're doing this for a bit of peace, not to be constantly shifting gears. Automatics do cost more, and they might drink a little more fuel, but in the real world, it's not a huge difference. That said, if the perfect van comes up and it's manual, don't rule it out just because of that, unless you physically can't drive one, obviously. Then there's the big one everyone argues about: two-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive as Mercedes now like to call it. It's a debate that will go on forever, but once again, it boils down to how you'll be using your van. It's very easy to think that you need the all-wheel drive system because you're going across a campfield, but in reality, you'll very rarely use it, unless you're planning to do some proper off-roading. In 99% of cases, a decent set of all-terrain tyres on a two-wheel drive van will get you wherever you want to go, even if you're off-grid all the time. The only problem we've got here is that, well, four-wheel drive is just cool and it looks the nuts. Now we get into the spec, the actual features you'll want in the van itself. Some stuff can be added later, but a few things are best from factory. Aircon for one. If you're heading to Southern Europe or anywhere warm, it's a lifesaver, and it adds value when you come to sell. After this, it's personal preference. Cruise control for me is another must. When you're driving long distances, it just makes things so much easier. Reversing cameras are great too, especially in a big van. And if you can get Apple CarPlay, do it, because no journey is complete without a good sing-along from your favourite playlist. You decided which van is right for you, and now the fun starts. There are so many layouts and options to choose from, but there's one saying to remember when it comes to camper van design, and that's: everything is a compromise. If you want more storage space, then you'll have to give up some living space or lose worktop space. It's one of the joys of working with the small space that we have. Now obviously you can get more in a bigger van, but then it's harder to park and manoeuvre around tight country lanes. As I say, everything is a compromise. You just have to find what's important to you. Start with your non-negotiables, then after that, list the things you would really like. This will tell you what's important to you, as it's not always the same for everyone. Personally, I'm not that bothered about a toilet and shower room, but that's because I don't go away for long periods at a time, and we'll have a porta potty and an outdoor shower. However, for some people, the thought of not having a proper toilet in the van is unthinkable. Beds are a big one. Do you want a fixed bed or something that converts from your lounge seating? Fixed beds are more comfortable and give you loads of storage underneath, but they also take up a chunk of space you can't really use for anything else. A seating area that converts to a bed gives more daytime space, but it's more of a faff and usually less comfy. If you want both a fixed bed and a proper lounge, you're almost certainly going to need a long wheelbase. One of the popular designs, especially on the medium wheelbase, is to have the rear pods on the side, which means you can then sleep across the van and have an extremely large space under the bed for storage, or even a dog kennel, as I've seen before. Obviously, if you have the fixed bed, then you have to allow room for a seating area. If you're only doing short trips in your vehicle, this could just be the front seat swiveled and a small bench seat, or you can go the whole hog and put a sofa in front of the bed. Now, if you really want a fixed bed and larger seating area, then the long wheelbase is probably going to be your only choice, unless you don't want a kitchen area. Again, everything is a compromise. Now, toilets and showers. If you're just using your van for weekends or short trips, I'd really think twice before putting in a toilet room, especially if you're using a medium wheelbase van. They take up loads of space, but for long-term or full-time living, not having a toilet might be a deal breaker. If you do go that route, try and make the room as small as possible. It'll make your van feel so much bigger. Windows sound like a trivial thing that's just part of a conversion. You almost forget about them. However, getting light into your van can make the difference between it feeling like a dark, dingy room and a lovely, spacious, airy place where you love to spend time. For me, unless you're wanting to go stealth camping, then get as many windows as you can, and ideally have several of them that open to let some fresh air in. We are going camping outdoors after all. If you've got kids or need an extra bed, you've got a few choices. A cab bunk over the front seats can work for a small child. A bench that pulls out into a second bed is another option, though it does mean sacrificing floor space when both beds are in use. My favourite option here is to add a pop top. You can get a full double bed upstairs and it takes up no room, and as the bed is likely to be for kids, you can put them to bed and still have the van space to relax until it's time for you to get your 40 winks. Gone are the days of having to go to bed at the same time as the kids. One of the most important things that many people overlook when deciding on a layout is how much storage they will need. The more things you put into a camper, the more storage space it takes up. If you've decided the fixed bed is for you, then this does help to solve the problem. But making the most of every inch of space is a must. Overhead lockers are a great way to maximise storage without taking up any floor space. Do remember, however, that the more floor-to-ceiling cupboards and wardrobes that you have, the smaller your van will feel inside. Kitchen-wise, just be honest with yourself. If you're planning to cook most nights, you'll want a decent hob, some prep space, maybe even an oven. If you're like me, and will either eat out or bring pre-made meals, then a microwave and a sink might be plenty. If you do have a microwave and want to use it off-grid, then don't forget you'll need an inverter to power it. There's loads of other stuff to consider. We would be here all day if we covered everything. However, it is worth thinking about solar panels if you're planning to go off-grid, or an awning for extra outdoor space. Good lighting outside the van makes a big difference too. As lovely as relying on the campfire light is, it's quite often not enough. It's easy to get caught up in all the gadgets, but I'd take a basic van that gets me on the road over holding out forever for the perfect 6-figure setup. At the end of the day, the perfect layout and spec all depends on how you're going to use the van. My personal opinion is that the medium wheelbase vans are the ideal compromise between external size and internal size, and if I'm honest, I think they look the best too. But honestly, the best advice I can give you is to hire a van first. Spend a weekend in one. You'll learn more from that one trip than you ever will from watching videos or scrolling through Instagram builds. So how would I spec my van? I guess that'll all be revealed very soon.